Thank you for coming to this session. Before I begin, I know my dear friend and brother Mahesh told you about what I do. I just wanted to just briefly touch upon that. Cavalia Yoga Gurukulam is the name of the organization that Maya and I have founded. Cavalia is the name that represents the goal of traditional yoga practice. Where does the practice of yoga take you? It takes you to the state of Cavalia. And what is Cavalia? In very short, in perhaps one word, Cavalia means oneness. It is the theory that there is one consciousness which has become all of this, and all of us and all of this in the universe are manifestations of one consciousness. But that's a theoretical understanding. How does one experience that? How do you experience you are that one consciousness, or you are part of that one? That experience is called Kaivalya. And that Kaivalya experience is given to you through the practice of yoga. So that is why Kaivalya is not a theoretical understanding, a framework, but it's actually a state that can be attained through practice. That's what Patanjali talks about in his Yoga Sutra. Someday we'll take that up for study. There is 192 sutras, verses that he has written. Each one, you could spend at least 45 minutes to an hour to understand what it means. It's a lifetime of learning. It's a long time learning and a lifetime of application of that wonderful sutra, which is a sutra on a complete treatise on real, hardcore, in-depth meditation and understanding of the inner self. So Kaivalya was the name that was given to me by the universe when I was looking for what should be the name, because the name for me is important because that sets the scope of what I stand for, what the universe, the institution stands for. And Maya came up with this brilliant idea that why don't we start this at home? So we have a very small home. We have 3 bedrooms. It's a ranch kind of home, a small property. It's a 1-acre property ending with the river. And we have decided to open our home, and we have been doing that for the last 1 year. People write to us, come and spend a weekend with us, 3 or 4 days. We have some people who have already visited us, spent time with us. And we talk more in depth, in smaller, much smaller one-on-one session, or it's different when you have 3-4 people, and it's different when you have 50 people. So there's a lot more learning goes on. And so we spend time, you get a taste of what yogic lifestyle is all about. So yoga is not just restricted to asanas and breathing exercises and so on and so forth, but like I gave an idea yesterday, it's a lifestyle. And so how does one practice that lifestyle? How would you know unless you come and live with somebody or experience that firsthand? Of course, she gives delicious food. And we introduce you to kind of healthy eating habits and so on and so forth. And also the entire daily schedule would start at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then from 5 to 6:30 we have chants, and 6:30 to 8 we have yoga, then we take a break, and then we have a session of learning, and so it goes on. And we are trying to get some of that done as part of live telecast, if we can, broadcast it on the internet, on YouTube. We are working on that. Even as we speak, we're trying to get something working. If that happens, then I'll let you all know. Then you all can even tune in from wherever you are. But having said that, you're all welcome. There is no fixed fees, how much you pay when you stay with us, your guests, your family. So you come and stay, and then whatever you want to offer, that's perfectly okay. The reason why I adopted that approach, it doesn't make sense in today's world, right? Today's capitalist economy everywhere, everybody says, but how are you going to survive? How do you make it happen? I would make it happen. I would have charged you if I had made peace with one problem which I have. I've not made peace with it inside. I've not understood I've not seen how to make it work, and this is what it was. We were sitting at Baba's feet one day in his room, and he was telling us some story and some connection. I don't want to go too much into detail, though I remember this context. But then he came to the story, and the moral of the story was education, and because he was preparing us to be teachers in his university, and he said, I want you to be teachers, I want you to do this for the passion of teaching, and when you are granting wisdom wisdom has no price. You cannot attach a price tag to wisdom. You don't do that, sin. Or if you limit it and you put a price tag on how much you know and knowledge you have, then others are never going to respect it because you yourself put a limit on what you know. Wisdom has no limits. And he's a role model because he never, and he said as teachers also, your hand should never go like this. Don't go to somebody saying, give me this. Ask, what do you want? What can I give you? And always let your hand be like this. And he set an example in his lifetime. If you go to his ashram, you have to ask people, where do I donate? Where do I go? Please let me know. And they'll say, I don't know. Go there and ask. Nobody is interested in telling you where to go. You have to find your way and say, please, I want to give some money. How do I give it? And that kind of approach, and you see this SDSC as a center of, by a handful of his chosen devotees who have dedicated their lives literally in carrying out that same principle. You don't find any donors, plaques, and yet millions of dollars have been raised to build it. But who's done it? Nobody knows. That's the concept of selflessness. So he has set an example, and I wanted to follow that. But he shared a story with us in that context. That's what I'm coming to. He said, there was this rich jeweler who was walking down the street, and then he saw a village boy playing marbles on the ground. And then to his horror and astonishment, he saw that boy is playing with pieces of diamond as little diamond rocks. And as a jeweler, he could recognize that they are priceless. So he says, oh my God, this kid doesn't even know what he's doing. So he goes to the child and he says, hey, listen, what are you playing? The boy says, I'm playing marbles, I'm playing a game. He says, can I buy those? I'll pay you 200 rupees for that. 200 rupees is probably $3. I can pay you 200 rupees. And the village boy has never seen 200 rupees in his life. So he says, oh, of course you can take it. And he gives it to him and takes the 200 rupees and runs away happy. And then Baba says the stones in his hand burst into millions of pieces and disappeared. And then this jeweler was shocked. He was a devoted man. He was a good man. But a good businessman, I would think. And then the stones disappeared from his hand. And he said, why? What happened? And then a deity appeared. The stones energy appeared to him. And he says, what happened? Why did you do this? I dedicate my life to you. I worship you as stones, but why did you do this? She said, you insulted me and therefore I have disappeared. She said, but how did I insult you? That boy was playing on mud. You were being rolled in cow dung and all of that. And I took you because I would want to make precious jewelry out of you. And who knows, you would have been adorned in a temple or something. But how do you consider that as an insult? She said, you missed the whole point. That boy was unaware of my pricelessness. He was ignorant, and therefore it was okay for him to play. He thought I was a marble, and that was okay. You, who knew how valuable I was, and yet you paid just 200 rupees for that, for me. You knew how valuable I was to you, and yet you put a price tag, and therefore I was worth only 200 rupees. So the glass pieces that you find on the road, now pick that up. That's what it's worth. That lesson has left a deep imprint in my mind. Because Baba said, if you know that you are giving something priceless, then how can you put a price tag to it? And to me, like when I guide you into Shavasana, I am with you. I feel the energy. And that's why, when we do yoga together and we do Shavasana, we get up, we all feel so tuned into each other. There is a sense of connection. How can you put a price to it? I can't. So if you have an idea, let me know. I can't put a price tag to it. So therefore somebody says, how much do you charge? I say, I don't charge. I come and teach it because I love what I teach. And the teachers who taught me didn't charge me. He didn't take a single penny from me. Taught me the highest wisdom. In fact, my father donated a check to him. He came so angry, he threw the check at me. He said, who asked you for money? Did I ask you money? Pack your luggage and get out from here. I was so terrified. So there was another teacher who taught me yoga. He was visiting ashram. He was like a sage. I went and gave him fruits. He took an apple and threw it back at me. He said, did I ask you for all this? Throw, otherwise next time it will be a rock. And I ran away because I was literally terrified of these people. Because I think this is where they come from, and therefore I want to follow this footstep. I think it's a very unique a rare opportunity that I have to follow those footsteps, where very few people tread, I guess. And I feel honored to be part of it. I have no regrets. And this is how it was for thousands of years, where teaching was done for the joy of teaching and there was no limit. And so this way I can teach you what I want to teach. You don't sit there and demand what I should teach, because I've been in yoga schools, I've been to ashrams in India where the students pay the money and they say, teacher, today I don't want back bend, my back is hurting. And teacher will say, oh, okay, no problem, we will do simple exercises. So the teacher was literally dancing to their tunes because he wants their money. And he told me later that I can't, if I push them too hard, they will go away. The point was, if you go into that, then what can you teach? How much can you teach? Because then you're always looking for what else can I get from this person or that person. You lose the joy of teaching, I think. And for me, this way, it's unfettered. It's unbridled knowledge. I'm free to share it. You're free to take it. You're free to discard it. It's exchange is very free. You don't walk in thinking whether you can afford it or not. You walk in thinking, what else can I learn? And I walk in thinking, how much more can I share? And that freedom of exchange of energy, to me, is very divine and priceless. That's where we come from. And I'm hoping that the universe guides me and continues to provide me that strength. And it's amazing how when you take these steps, the universe comes and does it for you. When Baba told us this story, he said, when you do from your heart, the universe will, all the grahas, he said, all the 9 planets and all their cosmic energies and all that come to serve you and your mission and your purpose. Don't ever doubt that. And for me, the lesson from that is, look at that. You take one step and the universe takes 100 steps and helps you fulfill it. The only thing is get out of the way. You get out of the way. That's why I tell in Shavasana, when you learn to let go, you actually get everything you want. Just let go of it. But holding it, you're actually killing it. It's like you plant the seed, water it, and let the plant come up. You can't do anything but watch the magic happen. And that's all it is. I put these principles in place and I tell my guru and I tell the universe, this is all in place. My conscience is clear. I'm going to enjoy doing this. Now you make it manifest in whatever way you want. And lo and behold, it manifests even beyond your wildest dreams in beautiful ways. This experience, for example, is so wonderful. My meeting so many of you, my ability to share with you and learn from you all as well. This is, to me, gives a complete sense of satisfaction. That is what Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam will be about. And therefore I can present ancient matters, traditional matters. If people feel it's too bizarre, too absurd, that's fine. I learn to tell it in a way people can tune in and understand. That is where yoga anatomy comes in. And from that point of view, yoga anatomy is also going to be presented in a different light, as opposed to what you would go if you go to Barnes and Nobles or you go to Amazon and type yoga anatomy. You'll get anatomical books. They're not bad, they're perfectly good, they're excellent books talking about stretching, which muscles, and one has to learn that. But I'm not going to go through something that's already available in abundance today. You can Google it and always see this asana, what exactly muscle it works, what it stretches, and so on and so forth. But I would have done that if we had more time dealing only with yoga anatomy. Each of these sessions that I do today is only to give you an idea of how much depth is there in each of this. Anatomy from a yogic point of view, Japa Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, each of them can be a whole day's workshop. You could spend a whole week here, each day spending on one, learning in depth. But nevertheless, we start with yoga anatomy. So how does Hatha Yoga look at you, at your physical body? Yesterday we talked about the 5 koshas, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, and so on and so forth. I won't go through that again. But how does it look at your body? Sorry? No, I'm good. I'm good. How does it look at your body? The body is a collection, a manifestation of 5 elements. In fact, the whole of creation is a combination of that 5 elements. That is why you're connected through these 5 elements. It's one thing that is common between you and a piece of rock, you and a tree, you and the water, you and the ocean, you and the air, you and space. There's something common in all of these. And you as a body, I'm saying. Not you as a spirit, but you here. What is the common? There are 5 elements. And we need to understand that to understand this body, and therefore we'll go into more in detail. What are these 5 elements? I need to put this on. All right. What are the 5 elements? The first one is Prithvi. Prithvi is a Sanskrit word. It means earth. Literal translation is earth, but it actually also refers to anything solid, matter, right? So you see there is Prithvi. Is there Prithvi in us? Of course. In your body, there is Prithvi. So if I say there is Prithvi in your body, what could it mean? What could it mean? Flesh, bones, muscle, all of this, right? All that is matter, all that you can touch and feel there is a Prithvi element to it. Now, where is Prithvi predominantly located? I know it's all over, muscle and bones are all over, but there's some part of the body where this is predominantly located. Like you have the capital of these elements. There is one place where it starts from, and in the body, forget the chakras. Where in the body? So, from the waist and below the sexual organs, you have only pure muscle and bone here, right? Legs is one good example. There are no vital organs here. There is of course blood, and you also sweat, and all of that is there, but predominantly it is just hardcore muscle. So earth element is predominantly waist and below. Okay, it's important to keep this in mind, but because we're going to revisit this and understand it when we practice Hatha Yoga and Yoga Asanas, which elements are we attracting or which elements are we working on and why do we need to work on. So Prithvi or matter is predominantly your legs and your waist and below. Okay. Then comes Apaha. Apaha it's also called Jala. Apa is also another name for water or liquids in the body. So now of course, what is liquid in our body? There is blood, there is urine, there is sweat, there is tears, there's saliva, and so on and so forth, right? There's mucus and all of that. So all of that comes under the apasa, water, liquids element. But then there is a capital where this is predominantly located. Just like you had earth predominantly here, you have an element of water that is predominantly located. Where do you think that is? Right, just below the stomach, where the kidneys, urinary bladder, the seminal juices, all of that happens here, right? So just above the earth lies the water element. Then comes Tejas or Agni. Agni is a very popular word. Tejas is a little more than just fire, because Agni you would think only as fire, but Tejas is more like electricity, magnetism, plasma, fire, all of that comes under Tejas, Agni. Where does this reside? We touched upon it yesterday. It comes a little above that. So now you're getting the hang of it. A little above that in your stomach. Why stomach? Because you know you get heartburn. Where do you get heartburn? Right here. Because there's heat here. There is digestive juices, the acids here, which is considered fire because they burn. They digest the food. They transform the food and pass it down to the water element and so on. So there is the Agni element or the Tejas element right here. And then you have Vayu, the wind. Wind is also gases. So where is predominantly wind located? Lungs, right? So you have Prithvi, you have water, you have Agni, and you have air, wind that is exchanged from here. Okay? There are many types of Vayu, we'll touch upon it. But this is predominantly here. And then the last one is Akasha, ether or space. So Prithvi, Jala, Vayu, Agni, Vayu. Where is Akasha? Where is a space? Where is a space inside your body which is hollow? Your throat. Vocal cord. There is hollowness here. There is space predominantly. So Akasha, space, resides in the throat. So all the 5 elements, and then they have manifestations in the sense organs. We'll come to that. But this is your fundamental building block of your body. What is unique about these elements? If you see Prithvi and Apa, there are 2 things here. There you have the energy flowing downwards. Why is that? Gravity. Water flows always down, right? Prithvi, you drop anything, anything with matter goes down. So Prithvi and water always pulls you down. So body is a representation of where our consciousness lies. So what happens today, I'm talking about it in a collective manner, in a community today, in the world at large, obesity is a problem, right? We all know that. Why? Because we are predominantly preoccupied. Our lifestyle is predominantly imbalanced towards what? Prithvi and water. And when we come to and connect it to the senses, we'll understand that. So so if I want to approach, let us say, obesity as a problem, and if you want to approach weight control in your own life, you want to say, I want to control my weight. Because the main problem with weight is what? This starts becoming big. You don't start getting big biceps when you put on weight. This is the first to come and the last to go, correct? Prithvi and water. And therefore, now what happens is, what are my asanas, if I'm bringing asana practice, what are my asanas practice that help me mobilize Prithvi? Prithvi is solid. It's ground, it's matter. Now you have to break Prithvi and lighten it, right? And because eventually I want to make my body light. Prithvi, that's why if you find when we do hip opening routines, why is it so difficult? Because it's all become so fixed. Hamstrings are tight, lower back is tight, the pelvic region is tight. All of that has become so fixed. And this fixation, if you will, or this tightness in our pelvic region is actually a reflection of the fixedness in our mind. We have become very predictable. This is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is right, this is wrong. We have become so fixed in our ideas and our belief system. And that is represented in Prithvi. And it could result as obesity, it could result as back problems, it could be so many things. So there is a connection there. Do you see a connection? So Prithvi and water is that. And when we understand senses, and we'll come to that in a little bit, we'll understand that how vital it is, and you can approach the Prithvi element not only through exercise but through other ways as well. But this is to give you an idea that this is how the Hatha Yoga approaches body. And so in the yoga practice, overall yoga practice, though initially you start focusing predominantly on Prithvi, like I said, we do hip opening routines, and we have to open up the hip, because that loosens the heart. You see, and the base of the spine is Mooladhara, right here. This Mooladhara, if you say base of the spine, it means right into your mind. This represents the inner recesses of the mind. So there's two ways looking at it. Don't look at it just in a linear fashion, up and down, but look at it deep within and surface. This is a surface. If you go deep inside the brain, this way, from top down, deep inside lies your unconscious and subconscious mind. So Mooladhara holds all that memories gained across lifetimes. Okay, if you find it hard to follow lifetimes, then think of from the time of you're born. That itself is difficult to go through, right? So every single experience, how traumatic was your childbirth onwards, to every single experience is stored in your subconscious, unconscious mind. That is stored in the Mooladhara. It goes and settles down. And every time you make up your mind about something and you reinforce it with consequent experiences, like your likes and dislikes, or the ideas of good and bad, then those things slowly settle all the way down into the spinal cord and settle down in Mooladhara. So that becomes rock solid. That becomes your foundation. It's good in a way. You've got to have some foundation to grow, but sometimes that itself could be limiting, correct? So how do you now break open that? How do you keep it loose so you constantly can churn it and put new things in and take out the old things? That's how we can experience life, right? You don't wear the same old clothes again and again. You go into the closet. You should be able to go into the closet and dig out that old clothes and say, I don't want this anymore. I'm done with that. That was when 10 years ago, oh my gosh, I can't even fit into that now. I need to get new. So you look for a store closing, JCPenney or something, and go and buy that. The point here is, I should be able to do that. What's going on inside too? Why am I holding experiences that happened in my childhood? And why am I allowing that to influence my subconscious and unconscious mind? In other words, through that it's still affecting my life even today. So approach if yoga into trauma and other things would be, they would go straight and say, all right, let's work with you, come to the mat, let's start working on your Prithvi and loosen that and loosen all those memories. So they will turn into water, become a little loose. Then you increase the fire. the water will take the fire, the air will take the, Agni will take the water and burn it up, and slowly it will evaporate from your system. Providing room for new, fresh inputs, fresh perspectives. That's the beauty. So, in yoga, you learn to balance these 5 elements, so that one is not in excess of the other. So when you have heartburn, when you have high blood pressure, then you are talking of excess of Agni. Constant stress, flight and fight syndromes that we have today are sympathetic nervous system is more active. We needed that when back in the days when we lived in caves and you could be attacked by a tiger or the saber-toothed tiger or a neighboring tribal gang would come and attack you. So you needed to be on guard, you needed to run, you needed to hide, you needed to survive. So survival instinct kept that sympathetic nervous system, and we needed that. But do we need that today? We don't need that kind of survival instinct. Yeah, you need to be alert when you drive, but we don't need to fight for your survival every day, right? You're not afraid somebody's going to hit you or kill you, or you're running away from a snake or a tiger. We don't need that. But yet, why is our sympathetic system so active then? It's still active because we are constantly in a stressful mode. We have set up certain parameters in our life and we're chasing those things mindlessly. And so we have caused a stressful situation, and that increases the Agni. While Agni is required, you don't need too much of it. Fire gives you warmth, it's nice. But too much of it is going to burn your house down. You have to be careful when you light that fireplace. Oh, I love the fireplace. Let's have fireplace all over the house. Very soon, sooner or later, you're going to have some problem. So you can't have excess of any one element. Fire is one of those which causes a lot of stress. That is why Agnisara that we learn is a very wonderful way to balance the fire element in your body. Vayu, then comes Vayu or the wind. So that is where now we're going to enter into that understanding of what are the kind of Vayu and how they work in a minute. But again, imbalance of Vayu or wind is where you have gas problems, you have constipation, they're all interconnected. These are all not watertight compartments. So excess of Vayu or less of Vayu, when you have depression, people undergo depression and sometimes even clinical depression, it's all related to lack of Vayu, the ability to exchange air. You need Prana, because Prana, life force, comes in predominantly through the breath. Predominantly, like I said yesterday, it comes through food and mantras and all of that. But those needs a lot more adjustment to lifestyle. But at any given point, you can get Prana through the breath. That's what keeps you alive. So breath is such an important thing, and breath is air. Air is Vayu. So Vayu is, if it's not maintained well, we get into a lot of mood swings. In the Hindu panthology, and most of these stories that are told to us are deeper meaning, right from the name of a demon or a name. They're all symbolic, make you understand what it was. So the concept of Hanuman, for example, is a son of Vayu. That means Hanuman is one-pointed, focused, a superhuman monkey, if you will. I don't know the term like superhuman monkey. But anyway, a super monkey. And he is able to focus fully. In other words, his mind is completely controlled. But they call him son of Vayu. It means through breath, you can awaken the Hanuman inside of you. You have that power, that mind, tremendous power of the mind that Hanuman had. But how do you get that? Through breath, because he's called son of Vayu. They're giving you an indication. Go through Vayu, you can reach Hanuman. So through Vayu means what? Through breath. Now through my breath, I can reach the Hanuman within me. In other words, my mind within me. I can awaken that super monkey inside of me. So Vayu is again a very powerful medium. So in your yoga practice, how much of practice you are devoting to Vayu? So if I'm going to treat somebody for deficiency in Vayu, then what are we going to practice? So in other words, even if you're practicing it as a preventive way of life, then you need a practice which is all-rounded, that takes care of all of these elements. Okay? So when we did the Bhastrika, for example, and when we do Surya Namaskar, we'll do a little bit of that tomorrow, sun salutations, tomorrow being Sunday. We are allowing air to exchange. Anything aerobic is very good for air. akasha or space. Now this is where the sound of your breath comes into being in a yoga practice. Excess of space can cause all the other problems. Space is a very, I'll spend a little more time on just that one element, because that will take you, it connects to sound, and sound is connected to japa. So we'll talk about it in that next session that we do. But akasha here, in your yoga practice, what is the sound that you're listening to in your practice? That will be the sound of your breath. That sound. So when I practice, I breathe out. I'm not only focused on my earth element, I'm focusing on the akasha element. So now, when I'm tuning into my practice, how am I approaching my anatomy? I'm approaching my anatomy from all the elements. And in each asana, I discover where are my elements, in which position they are, how are they. So there are some asanas, most of the asanas will have one more active than the other. For example, if I'm doing balancing pose, it's more of earth exercise. If I'm doing Agni Sara, it's more of water and fire. But then it's not just watertight, only water and fire. It's a combination. Predominantly, you'll focus which is the element that I'm activating now, which is the element I'm tuning into, so that it comes into balance. Because when these 5 elements are in the right place, in the right proportion, then health is given to you. So, from an asana perspective, from a pranayama perspective, from abhyasa, in other words, practice perspective, I can bring all of that. But what about lifestyle? So in the yoga lifestyle, you're not stepping out of the anatomy, it is very much part of it. So if I have obesity problems, why do they say control your diet and what you eat? Because you have to watch how much, even in the vegetables I eat, then I have to see which ones of them are very earthy. Potato, a favorite vegetable. Potato, which element do you think is predominant in potato? Earth, right? It's hard. There's no room for anything else. It's pure earth. So guess what happens if you eat a lot of potatoes? That's going to settle down in your earth. So not only are you going to put on weight, that's one side, but even your thinking becomes earthy. It becomes very grounded, it becomes very muddy, make it solid. You just make up your mind even before even thinking. You can't think. For thinking, you need space. You're not given space. It's too tight. So that kind of vegetable, I'm not saying it's bad. Excess of that. Always take what I say in the right context, because potatoes are not bad at all. But too much of potatoes, potato chips, potato vegetable, potato this, potato that, and guess what? Potato chutney. I don't know. Do you make potato chutney? Okay. I'm very bad. I know to eat salad. Sorry. No. I mean, when you come to Cavalia, I'm not the cook. So when you come home, Maya takes care of it. You see how bad I am with cooking. So when you excess of potatoes, for example, I'm giving you an idea. Same thing with water too. I know there are medical professionals, so you have to be careful. I am not a big fan of drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Now that is equivalent to your lifestyle that you're on. If you're sitting on the chair the whole time and you're not sweating as much, you perhaps do not need 8 glasses of water a day. But guess what's going to happen is you're going to overwork your kidneys and you're going to the bathroom more often than not. It's going to cause excess of water in your system. Think about it. I'm not asking you to buy what I'm saying. You need water. We all need water to survive. But how much of water you need? That's number one. Number two is when you eat fresh fruits, there's a lot of juices and water coming into your system. When you eat leafy vegetables, uncooked, raw, lot of fluids, water from the, if you take some of these vegetables and put them in a mixie and grind it, you see it just becomes pure water. I mean, like, there's so much juice, there's a lot of fluids in it. So perhaps when you eat a lot of raw food, you don't need as much water. But you are getting water into your system. Is it just plain water, or is it coming in slowly, as and when you need it, the vegetables release the water into your system? So something for us to consider, again, in our food. So every single this is in food, right? So we get an idea of pickles are nice, tasty, spices are good. Actually, it's good that you have spices in your food because it helps in digestion. And it kickstarts your metabolism. Your fat burn starts. You need spices in your food. Excess spices, you're going to have problems. It's all about excess in any of this, if you see. Now, this is food, right? It's easy, perhaps a little more easier if you take different foods and categorize them. This is earthy, this is what. So juicy fruits are obviously have a lot of water. Earthy food has that. Some have a perfect combination. Leafy ones have a great combination of all of this in them. Okay? They're green, they're fresh, so they have a lot of agni in them. Because, you know, they're alive. They absorb the energy from the sun, they're alive. So there's a lot of agni, a lot of water in them, and they are solid, so they are prithvi. There's a very good balance if you understand some of these by looking at them. Nuts are predominantly earthy. So you can't indulge in too much of nuts. Nuts are good for you, but not too much. And definitely not cashew nuts. I know some people love cashew nuts. I'm looking at my father-in-law for that. He loves it. But that's starchy again. So understand that when I indulge in these things too much, what happens, I start creating imbalances. So when let's say I'm prone to diabetes, I have sugar in my body, then it's related to the water element directly. So, and water element, how do I control water element in my body? So one is of course through food, then we come to the senses part of it. But then it's also a matter of what choices you make. Colors matter. The colors are related to the elements. The colors that we choose in our home, colors we choose to wear, colors we choose to see, colors we choose to engage have their qualities. And therefore you need all, that's why flowers are beautiful, they're all colors. So you have a mix of all colors, always mix all these elements in abundant proportions. So it's something for us to understand, especially when we do yoga. We've got to understand that in my practice, in my yoga asana practice, I need to bring in all these 5 elements into my practice. If not every day, every time I come to the mat, I need to have some practice related to each of them. So sound, when it comes to Akasha, we talk of the sound of the breath in the Hatha Yoga practice. But there are easier ways and better ways to do it through chanting. So chanting of the Om that we do every morning. And in Sai Baba's ashram, and we lived for over 15 years, every morning we do that Omkar chanting. We begin the day with Om chanting. And we'll come to that in a bit. So this is one way of looking at it. There's a lot in yoga anatomy. I'm just giving you, in a traditional yoga anatomy, how they understand your body. But this is just to give you a bird's eye view, if you will. Now, when we come to Vayu here, in the last one we saw Vayu, winds or gases. There are many types of Vayus. Now Vayu is not necessarily, in this case, when we talk of these 5 Vayus, we are not going to talk about air as such, but it's more like pressure that's created. Upward pressure, downward pressure, pressure going to sides, and so on and so forth. So the first one that we understand is Apana Vayu. Apana is anything that creates downward pressure. So now that you had a heavy breakfast, you may want to in a little bit go to the bathroom, take a break. So what is the pressure that is causing that to happen? The food to come out, or for you to pass urine, and so on and so forth. What is that? That is Apana Vayu. Apana Vayu always moves downwards. So from here, from the center going down is Apana Vayu. Anytime that is active, you won't be able to meditate. You won't be able to practice yoga. Guess if you want to go to the bathroom and say, no coming out of my class, practice yoga. I want to go to the bathroom. No, stay there in the mat. He's not going to practice, poor thing. Right? Go, get the Apana Vayu out of his system and come, because you want to go up in your meditation. You want Apana Vayu is going to hold you back. Go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Right? Apana Vayu is that which goes downwards. So if Apana Vayu is in excess, then you have obesity problem. If Apana Vayu is in excess, you have problems with lethargy. Apana Vayu is in excess, you have problems with diabetes. All of water element and Prithvi. Apana Vayu controls Prithvi and water. So we'll come to that in a bit. And then you have Prana. Opposite to that, from here you go, Apana goes down. From the center upwards is Prana. Now this Prana is not the Prana. It's like New York, you say New York City, New York State. So the prana is that mother prana. I'm not talking about that. This is just a vayu, upward pressure. When you feel elated, when you feel happy, when you feel enthusiastic. After that cup of coffee, you're like, yeah, I can take the world now. That is, I'm not saying prana gives you coffee. Please don't. I'm just. Anyway, so when you feel elated and happy and optimistic, it's prana vayu that is up here. That's why after a good rest, you feel energized. After a good exercise, you feel energized and you feel fresh. There's a lot of prana coming in. Then that is upward movement. Samana vayu is in the center. Now that is a very important vayu. In fact, among the 5 vayus that we are talking about, apana vayu, prana vayu and samana vayu, samana vayu is the most important, right in the center of the 5. This is like the switchboard, the main control. This vayu determines when you eat food, it not only digests, this is the one that keeps the flame of Agni alive. It not only keeps the digestive juices in good state, it also directs the food energy, where it should go now. Okay, you go down to the feet, you go up to the brain, you go to the arms, you go here, you go there. He is the commander-in-chief of the army. He directs the forces. He fights evil. Samana vayu is a very, very important vayu from a health perspective. That is why I said Agni Sara keeps the Samana vayu healthy, and that Agni Sara will help you in so many health benefits. Now, when I say these things, take it always in the right context, in the sense that these are supplementing, assuming that you have a healthy lifestyle with not excess indulgences of any kind. If there's too many indulgences, then none of these practices are really going to help. Well, they'll help a little bit, marginally. But if you're following a healthy lifestyle in general, and then you add this on, it becomes a very powerful way to prevent diseases in your body. Samana vayu is what digests your food and distributes your food energy. Then you have Vyana. Vyana vayu is multi-directional. So Samana vayu just sits here and pushes the food energy. But what carries the energy to different parts of the body? It's Vyana. Vyana vayu is like the volunteer servant. It's, okay, tell me where to go. All right, take this energy, go to the brain. It takes it up to the brain. So it takes care of the nervous system. It connects to all the nerves. It takes the energy to all parts of the body. So Vyana is multi-directional. It moves in all directions. So when you do all kinds of asanas, up, down, back, forward, you're actually activating the Vyana energy. In other words, when we understand that as increasing blood flow in the body. But the yogis would say that it is good, yeah, blood is good, but actually Vyana is important, because Vyana is what helps that blood flow and all of that. So they are approaching it in a very different manner. So they control Vyana and understand Vyana in your practice. And then lastly is Udana. Udana is not multi-directional, it's not up, it's not down. It is dimensional. In other words, there is one vayu that connects you to another dimension. Now we are coming into a new reality. There's so many parts of you. There is one vayu that takes you to the other dimension. The one vayu that is active when you dream, vivid dreams. The one vayu that will be active in your last breath. You heard of that death throttle? Is that how it's called? You know, when the person takes a last breath, there is some, what do you call that? There's a term for that, right? What is that? Death? Rattle. I said throttle. Rattle. Death rattle. The sound comes from the throat. So it is said in yoga and in the traditional scriptures that the last air that takes your consciousness away from the body and transports it to the other dimension is the Udana Vayu. Udana Vayu is the Vayu for meditation. Udana Vayu is where Patanjali focuses on. He says, once Udana Vayu is active, and in your practice we do practice that with bandhas and all that. Udana Vayu, when it's active, then you experience a peak experience. Like when you sit and when you're meditating or you're listening to a kirtan session, everybody's singing, and suddenly you feel, oh, this is so wonderful, I could just be here for a long time. And the peak experience that Maslow calls peak experience in behavioral psychology. That peak experience happens when Udana Vayu kicks in. It gives you that spark of creativity. When you see a painting or you see a flower, you're like, at that moment, time seems to stop. When you see a baby laughing or crying, you're like, at that moment, oh my gosh, this is so beyond beyond even being beautiful. It's beyond senses. It lifts your mind up. That is Udana Vayu is active there. So in yoga practice, where do you want to go in all this? Ultimately, I'm being held by that Prithvi there. So let's drag Prithvi a little bit. So ultimately, you want Udana. You want to master this Udana Vayu. Because this is what is going to help you in meditation. And this is the Vayu that is going to actually help you experience other dimensions of reality. Within you, inside of you, there are so many dimensions of reality, but you will not understand that if predominantly if Aparna Vayu is active most of the time. Prana, Baba would say, I don't know the exact words. Something you would say, eating, and then you keep eating, and then you go empty, and you come back again, eat, and go back and go out to the toilet. You just keep going back and forth. Your entire life goes back and forth between unloading and unloading. He said, yeah. He says, you guys always loading, unloading, loading, unloading, loading, unloading. So you're caught up between just Aparna Vayu most of the time. But Vyana is nervous system, so that's where when you do chakra meditations, when you analyze each part of your nervous system and go up the spine, that becomes active. And then comes Udana Vayu. So when Patanjali talks about Udana Vayu, the benefits of Udana Vayu, he says you can walk on water. So did Jesus walk on water? I don't find it hard to believe. Don't ask me to walk on water. I'm not there yet. But why not? Because Patanjali says you can walk on water. You can make your body so light. While I cannot walk on water, I can tell you how I feel so light and energetic because Udana Vayu, and that's good enough for me.
Like cotton.
Sorry? Yeah. Your body becomes like a cotton. He says you can walk on thorns, you can walk on anything and you won't feel hurt. In other words, you feel so light, energetic. You're light on your feet. You don't say, oh gosh, I have to get up and go down again. You're quick, up on your feet. Because Udana Vayu is there. It is even beyond being enthusiastic and optimistic. All that comes in Prana. Prana Vayu upward is enthusiastic, optimistic. Udana is a whole different energy that kicks in. And we have all experienced it. I'm not saying that this only comes after years of yoga practice. These are Vayus that kicks in at different points, and I'm trying to help you relate to those moments in your life when you got a spark of creativity, or a time when you just felt so like floating. Like, oh, this is wonderful. When in Shavasana, apart from those who snored, there are people you experience Udana. Udana Vayu is what you activate in Shavasana. It becomes difficult because when you lie down, you have trained your body to sleep. So don't even get, I've been there, done that for months and years. I could never go past. How do you lie? After an intense 2.5 hour session, you lie down, and then this guru who taught me this would sit and start talking in Tamil first of all, my native language, but then he would talk in nice Tamil from Payani he was. So he started talking to me, sitting on top of my head, I'm lying down like this. He said, you can listen to me. And then his Shavasana routines are 45 minutes. So after 5 minutes, I'm gone. He says, but you're listening, I know. And he kept talking to me. I never knew what it was, but I'm sure it comes back to me in forms, it surprises me as well. But then over a period of time, slowly, you learn to keep your mind neither fully awake nor falling asleep. You learn to stay in that zone. How? You have to balance that mind. How do you do that? When you learn to balance your body, you get to apply that principle here. Not too much to the left, not too much to the right. Right in the middle. Hold it, and observe. And then Udana kicks in. And that's why some people came and told me that you were doing it, and at some point, I just don't know, I just lost myself. I knew I was not asleep, but I was somewhere, and then I came back. That is Udana Vayu. That is Udana Vayu. With more practice, it's amazing how, because like I said in pranayama, when you slow the breath, when it becomes soft and softer and softer and softer and softer, there are moments when they'll be still, the breath wants to be still. Because even that movement in the breath becomes disturbing for you. Everything else is so quiet and still. So when that stillness happens and Udana kicks in at that time, you will get a peek into that dimension. You transcend time there. You can experience eternity and come back within a few seconds. Within a few seconds, you can go in and come back. That's why they say in 11 seconds you can attain samadhi. All you need is that much time. You can attain that and come back. So Udana is what takes you to that dimension. So this is so valuable. This is where sound emanates. Akasha and ether. And we talk about in Japa Yoga. That's why I dedicated a whole session for that. It's so important to understand sound and how we can actually manifest the reality we want in our lives purely with the element of sound. We'll talk about that when we come there. So if broadly speaking, I just want to touch upon these two in today's class. You have the 5 elements and the 5 vayus. And in your practice, you got to make sure that this combination works. So you have the Prithvi and Apa. So earth and water element in your body is controlled by Apana Vayu. That's why ladies, when you have menstrual periods, your Apana Vayu is very active because you're passing a lot of blood and other stuff. They say don't do any religious activities or meditation because it's difficult for you. Because at that time you're going to be fighting against that energy. So don't do it. Just relax those days. But men, we don't get those holidays. So we have to practice every day. But the point was that Apana Vayu and Prana is that when Apana Vayu is in excess, it's very difficult for you to practice. But if that excess is due to lethargy, then you better get off the bed and work in controlling this Apana. It's very important. If you have excess of gas in the system, Apana Vayu. So that's why if you see potato leads to gas, that's because of potato being predominantly earthy, the Apana Vayu is getting more and more activated. So I'm just giving you links, right? Then you can keep experimenting with all of that. Then comes your Tejas, that is the fire element here is linked to the Samana Vayu. So if your digestion is healthy, the Agni is in good stead, Samana Vayu is in good stead. So your practices should be aimed to generate good Samana Vayu, which in turn will keep Agni. So we are using these Vayus now to help the elements. You understand? So, and then comes the Vayu itself. That is Gianna, multi-directional. This Vayu itself is controlled, main Vayu element is controlled by because it affects the nervous system and passes all the energies to different parts of the body, right from the tip here. So these messages, we talk of motor and sensory nerves and all that. So in the yoga, you understand that as how good your Gianna is. So if I'm balancing in a tree pose and my brain has to communicate to my toes and get a feedback at a speed of light or faster than that, in that speed it depends on the health of Gianna. So when you're practicing balancing pose, guess what's happening? You're working on the Gianna Vayu. You're making that Gianna connect. So Gianna is able to give you quick feedback, biofeedback, and you're able to communicate to it, understand it. So Gianna is important when it comes to balancing, and that's why balancing is a very important practice in yoga, because it helps with Gianna Vayu. Always have a few balancing poses in your practice. You're practicing challenging the Gianna. And then comes Akasha. Akasha or ether is Udana. We just talked about that. Udana is that dimension. So when you listen to the sound of the breath, in every pose, activate Udana. Every pose. So in the tree pose, I breathe in, I breathe out. I close my eyes. I'm activating the Udana, focusing on the sound, listening to the sound of the breath. It's magical how a simple pose like that is more than enough to get health, because I'm activating Gianna, I'm activating Udana. If I pull my stomach in, perform a mild Bandha, I'm getting Samana Vayu activated. If I do Mula Bandha, I'm holding the Apana Vayu up. So boom, one pose is all you need for yoga practice. Really, good news for those of you who don't like long sessions. But then one pose lies the magic, if you understand all of this. And so in every pose you go, try to see how am I activating all these elements. How are all these Vayus being activated. That's why Bandhas, we'll touch upon that a little bit now. Bandhas become very important in your practice. One, we did this, we talked about this in Uddiyana Bandha. I'll just finish this point and come to you. So Uddiyana Bandha is mildly pulling in. Uddiyana means one which flies upwards. What is flying upwards here? The diaphragm is moving upwards. When you pull your stomach in for Agnisara, you're breathing out and pull your stomach in. You try to pull it as much in as possible. Guess what is happening? You're performing Uddiyana Bandha. In that Uddiyana, you're flying, the diaphragm moves upwards. Now, this is the beauty of it. Because it moves upwards, that is the only Bandha that actually physically squeezes your heart. Because you can't squeeze the heart like this. No masseur can do it for you. But you can. Guess how? You can reach it from under your thorax. How can you reach it from under? Through Uddiyana Bandha. When I lean forward, I breathe out and pull my stomach in, it goes and physically squeezes the heart and then releases. The heart is getting squeezed, massaged. Imagine you are able to massage your own heart physically if you learn this properly. Therefore, you practice that. In Uddiyana Bandha, so that's a physical part of it, but then when you bring in Uddiyana Bandha, Samana Vayu gets activated. And then there is Mula Bandha, the perineum muscle between your sexual organ and the anus. There is a little bit of skin there. When you're learning to contract that skin right in the middle, it becomes Bandha. When you do that initially, you will pull in the anal muscles as well when you learn it, and that's fine. It's a different mudra called the Ashwini mudra. But then over a period of time, you learn to isolate just that center part and hold it up gently, a little bit like this. Mentally, I'm able to pull that piece. So when Mula Bandha is locked. So when I lock that, the Apana Vayu that is going down stops. So my consciousness is no more directed downwards. I'm stopping it. But stopping alone is not important. It's not going to serve the purpose. You have to do Uddiyana Bandha with it, because you stop it, then Uddiyana Bandha, fire pulls the earth and water element from down and moves it up. So instead of your weight goes down, your consciousness going down, it pulls it up. How does it pull up? Fire has a capacity. Only fire has a capacity to take water and change it into water vapor, to burn earth, right? So only fire. So Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha is very important. And when you do, and then you bend your head forward in meditation. Your chin towards, gently. You don't have to press it all the way down. You could, but I'm talking about the mild ones. So gently the head bent down activates what is called the third bandha, the Jalandhara bandha. This is the lock that activates Udana Vayu. So head bent down. And these three bandhas, you activate the most important Vayus in your system, and you can go into meditation. Not only just meditation part of it, the other dimensions and all of that, but health comes in. Just by sitting and closing eyes, we can be healthy. Provided you don't go and indulge in anything excess later on. I'm talking of assuming that you have a healthy lifestyle. All of this adds on to that health. It's like you're gifting yourself that, right? So that is why Udana Vayu becomes very powerful. I used to sit straight with my eyes closed, and every time, almost every time, Baba would pass me, he would hit my head like this. And for me, somebody hitting like this, I'll be like, God, why is he doing that? I mean, I like Baba showing attention, but then also feel, why is he doing that? He would almost like, tap me to do this. And then I asked the teacher, every time he goes, why does he do that? He said, because your head should be like this, not like this. I said, why? He said, activate that bandha. I told you, we are living in days where the Google was not there. So I suddenly realized, oh my God, there is a bandha here too. That is Jalandhara bandha. Keep your head down in meditation. Spine is straight, but your head is always bent slightly down. Your quality of your meditation will automatically go up. Just try it. And when you do this, you can listen to the breath very easily also, because you're partially closing the glottis. Then the sound of the breath activates Udana Vayu. So the way we approach, and it gets more complicated. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. I warned you yesterday. This 2.5 days will get me non-stop. I can go non-stop. I don't expect you to retain all of this. Just enjoy it right now as an interesting thing, and we'll put it on YouTube, and I'll pass it on to Mahesh, and they will put it on their channel. We'll put all these slides. But it's enough for you right now to just make sense of what's going on. Now then then they approach the 5 senses of action, and let's see if I got that. 5 senses of perception. Okay. I'm just going to touch upon this now. I don't want to complicate it too much. Each of these elements is associated with, let's go here. Prithvi is associated with the sense organ. Prithvi. Now, which sense organ you think is connected, or which sense is connected to earth element? Feet. Nose. Who said nose? There you go. Nose. Now, where is nose connected to earth element? Now, I mean, that's the last thing you would think of, right? Feet is connected. It's duh, right? It makes sense. Butt, feet, all that looks earthy. Where is nose? But that's the beauty of it. In all the 5 elements, does water have smell? By itself, it doesn't. You make it smell, but by itself, water has no smell. Does fire have smell? No. Does wind, Vayu have smell? No. Space obviously doesn't have smell. The only one that can have smell, the quality of smell, is earth. When you enter the house after a long vacation and you smell something, you say, there is something here. Something is dead, assuming there's a dead rat or something. Okay? You say, there's something here. How do you know there's something here? I can smell it. There's something there. Look for it. So, smell is directly linked to an actual matter. So now, if Prithvi is linked to obesity, and if smell is linked to Prithvi, can I control obesity through the sense of smell? Why not? What kind of smells? That is where incense sticks played a very important role. There are particular, not the ones you get nowadays, please, they put more chemicals and they just make it more Prithvi. But there are incenses like frankincense, there is, we call it sambrani, which they put in temples in those old days. It's very medicinal. And this leaves a lot of smoke and all that. So don't try it at home unless you want to set the smoke alarm off just for the fun of it. They will take your Prithvi and make it lighter. So they will help. So sense of smell can help. There's a way to treat that. But in general, if I am indulging in too much of what smells, so if my taste of food depends on how it smells, then I am predominantly, Prithvi is directing my body. Prithvi is directing how I should dress. Prithvi is directing how I should look. It's all, so smell is connected to Prithvi. Prithvi is connected to weight gain. So do the comparison and understand that how it goes. There is another sense organ. So when we talk of senses, we have 5 senses of action, 5 senses of perception. So nose, sense of smell, was sense of perception. There is a hardcore sense of action, which is connected to earth. And that is the anus. So you have 2 extremes, one is here, both are connected to earth, right? Of course, when you go to the toilet, it's not going to smell great, so there is a connection. But anus, why is anus connected? Because from there is where the fecal matter actually comes out. So solid matter is passed out from there, so that because solid matter passes out from anus, the anus is considered as another sense organ. So when you do Mula Bandha, when you're working on the anal region, you're actually helping with obesity. Something to remember. Then apaha, or water, is connected to 2 senses like this. Sense of perception. Which sense of perception do you think it could be? So we had a sense of smell we did. So is it the sense of sight, or sense of hearing, sense of taste, sense of touch? What do you think is connected with water? We said sense of smell is connected to Prithvi. So what about the sense of touch or sight or taste or taste? Water, taste, the saliva. So when you taste something, you have a dry mouth, you can't taste anything. When you're sick, can you taste anything? You can't. Why? Because it's dry. So you need to taste. So sense of taste is connected to Prithvi element. So again, combination of Prithvi and Apa, if causes, that's why sugar people have a problem, because they want to taste sugar all the time, but they have diabetes. So diabetes is directly controlled with what? Control your tongue. Stop going after sweets. Is directly controlled with water element. The sense of taste again, along with the sense of smell, controls Apaha and Prithvi. So that is one side. The other side here, in the sense of action, the sexual organ is connected to the water element, where seminal juices are passed. So sexual organ is connected to water, the anus is connected to the Prithvi element. And so so that's why in yoga, if they talk about sense control, and there is a talk of the celibacy, which is all misunderstood these days. They wanted you to understand the link between your tongue and your sexual organ, because they're connected to the Apa element in your body. If water is constantly shaking, is out of control, how can you experience steadiness? Right? So in order to stabilize the water, they say control your tongue, control the sexual organ. You will understand how the water becomes steady. Prithvi, that's what it is all about. Don't take it to extreme. You can't let water dry. So the celibacy is not the answer. Okay? But that is the point of that understanding was a linking between tongue and your sexual organ and the water element. That is what we need to understand. And then you adopt your lifestyle accordingly. If water element is in excess in your body, then this is how you approach it. Along with asanas and all of that, then your lifestyle, you've got to say, how do I control my senses and bring that, taper down that element in my body, because that is connected to your health. Like we found out in diabetes, for example, we made that connection. Then comes Agni, Samana. So in the sense of, so we covered sense of smell and sense of taste. What do you think is connected with fire? Touch or eyes? Sense of sight. You can see only if there is light, no? And light means fire. In absence of fire, you can't see anything. So your vision is connected with. So what you see and your stomach is connected. Now, please pay attention to what I say. This is why when you're eating food, when you're activating this, be careful of what you're watching on your television. I'm not saying don't watch television. Be careful of what you're watching television, because what you're seeing is affecting what you're eating here. The Samana Vayu is affected. If you're seeing some nasty thing, then, oh my God, oh, it's horrible, no? Oh God, give me that chips again. So you're adding, so the brain is confused, is secreting all those negative things. Your Samana Vayu is getting overactivated because you're creating stress, you're watching something, and then you're feeding. Like little children, I've seen parents telling children, watch, eat, and the kid is watching, oh, Tom and Jerry fighting. Because for the child, there's actual war going on there. Tom and Jerry beating each other. So Samana Vayu is excess, and you're feeding the child. That food is going to become poison. I'm not scaring you, don't take it literally. But this is what we do to our system every day, in and out, every day. So that is why there was a value paid when they said family dinner, family, no phones, no television, we sit and talk about it. That's a much better way of having dinner than staring at a TV and watching something mindlessly. Anything that excites you, even if you're watching a game, you're hyper excited and you're eating, that is Samana Vayu in excess. You don't want that Agni in excess. You want it to be in a perfect state. You have to be hungry. Prana, Apana, Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturudam. Prana and Apana, Samana, the meat and Samana, the Agni Vayu is ready now. Then you eat 4 types of food. Right? So something to keep in mind, because this is linked to the eyes. Samana Vayu. So when you do eye exercises in yoga, when you do Shirsasana, Sarvangasana, when you do topsy-turvy poses, Viparita Karani and all of that, when there's blood flowing and your eyes are getting help, you are actually helping in digestive system as well. So something to keep in mind. There is a link between Samana Vayu and sense of sight. In your sense of action, you had sexual organ and your anus covered. So among hands, feet, and mouth, which you think is connected to fire? Hands, feet, and mouth. Now sense of action is 5. Action: mouth, hands, feet, sexual organs, and anus. These are the 5 senses of action. So we have covered 2 of them. Out of the other 3, hands, feet, and mouth, what do you think is connected to Samana Vayu, which is fire element? You would think it's feet. It's feet. The heat, there is a lot of fire under your feet. You know, when somebody is cold and sick, what do? You rub their feet first, because there is fire here. Why do you think they make you do exercise? Why is exercise connected? Because you increase heat in your body when you jumping that. When you use under your feet, you're creating heat in the body. Under your feet lies heat. And if that heat goes, your life force cell goes down. For example, I'll give you the most expensive mink coat, and you wear it and you're like, oh my God, this is so warm, lovely. And you wear a nice cap and you covered your ears and everything, and you step out barefoot in minus 20 degrees. What's going to happen? Is it going to be helpful? No. Because heat escapes from here. Heat comes in from there. So below your feet lies. So feet is Agni. So the more you keep your feet active, the more Agni is held active. Excess of that is also bad. Excess of exercises, excess of running is also bad. So you don't want to do excess of that. But understand that there is, so again you've got 2 extremes here. You've got eyes and you've got your feet. That controls Samana Vayu. And Samana Vayu, like I said, is the most important among the 5 Vayus. That's why it's given the central place. So you see, like when you take a picture of somebody, like a group picture, and you get the main guy in the center, right? You don't tell them, you're the main person. Can you sit? Can you come to this side, please? He's going to be insulted. So in a body language, if you understand, you have Udana and Prana, and you have Apana Vayu, and Gianna all over. Samana is right here. So this is a very important part among the elements. Prithvi, water and earth, wind and space, and you have Agni here. Yes?
Doesn't heat rises upward? I would think that most heat will come through your head.
It goes out from the head.
Yeah.
So when you do a lot of exercise, your head also gets heated up. Your whole body gets heated up. So when you do excess, that's why you become anaerobic, they call it, right? Too much of aerobic, you reduce oxygen supply, you faint. It's not good. So too much of that increase brings you don't want your brain to get heated up at any point in any exercise. You don't want brain to get heated up. So that's why you don't want that. So you want to keep your heat right up to here. Samana Vayu. And then comes, interestingly, and I'll finish it in 2 minutes. You have Gianna and you have Udana Vayu. So Vayu here. You had sense of, so we among the 5 senses, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, and the sense of taste. We covered 3 of them. There's 2 left. One is the sense of touch and one is the sense of hearing. So which sense is connected to Vayu? Sense of touch. You feel when breeze touches your skin, you need Vayu to feel the sense of touch. Vayu is connected to a sense of touch. Not hearing. Hearing is sound. The element of Akasha is where hearing comes in. The hollow hearing in your drum, that creates sound. So that is sense of sound. The sense of touch is Vayu. And that's very, very important for us. So when you want to know if somebody is alive, if there's breathing going on, what do you first thing you do? You go and touch them. So touch is a very important part. If you want prana generated through Vayu, I said, right? Vayu generates a lot of prana. So why Reiki becomes important? Why pranic healing becomes important? They touch the person. So in touch, you can actually generate and share your life energy with them. That is why you go and fall at his feet, or you go Guru's blessings, you want them to touch your head. When they touch, there is blessing. In touch, there is comfort. In touch, there is prana. So when somebody is upset, you go and give them a hug, or you squeeze the arm, or you say, hold hands, let's go for a walk. That holding is you are passing your positive energy. If you're weak, of course, you imbibe that. So it exchanges both ways. Touch is where Vayu is exchanged. So, sense of touch. And in these 5 senses of action, we covered feet, we covered the sexual organ, we covered anus, we got mouth, and we got hands. So Vayu indicates what? Hands. When you're hot, you first move like this. So you create Vayu by moving hands, not by talking. Hands, movement, all of that is Vayu. Excess Vayu in the body you can find if you find that person very fidgetive, too active. Then you will find that there is excess Vayu. If you say there is Vata dosha, Vata we talked about in Ayurveda, where there is excess wind and excess fire, that person will be up at 3 o'clock waiting to do something, like clean the kitchen or do something. Give me some work, give me some work. Let me do this, let me do this. There is excess of fire. That, if you taper that, it becomes very good. But if it's too much, then it increases a lot, it burns, it constantly keeps burning, keeps you, and may not be good for health. So it's important to understand that the sense of touch and the hands are connected to each other. That's why hand and touch goes together, always. You don't bless somebody with your feet, you always touch them with your hand and bless. You can convey your mood just by your gestures with your hand. In yoga, we don't have time to go through this at all, but then in yoga and mudras, they can control Vayu. I can control the Vayu and the Vyana, my nervous system, because Vyana is all over. I can control the nervous system by assuming poses. With my hands, mudras become very important. Which finger touches which finger? Which finger represents which element? So it's very important to understand that in sense of touch, hands, you can control all the Vayus and all the elements just with your fingers and gestures. That is how powerful these things are.
Mudra pranayama. You're talking about mudra pranayama.
Mudra pranayama and mudras alone in meditation. What mudras? Sometimes you want to hold your hands in certain mudras and you can generate that kind of mindset in your meditation. It's fascinating how these things work. And then comes lastly is Akasha or space. So the sense of hearing is the only thing left. So the sense of hearing is connected to sound, sound is connected to space, and mouth is the one that generates a sound. So sense of the organ of mouth and the sense of sound is connected to space. So when we understand this, and then there are chakras and a connection of the chakras and all of these elements, it just goes on, and you'll find, oh my God, they're all interconnected. And then I take all the 9 planets and connect them to these chakras and the elements, and you'll say, oh my God, this is all part of me. And so when I talk of Saturn, I'm not talking of a planet out there, but I'm talking of an energy of that inside me, where, and so on and so forth. So that makes it a very interesting understanding of what is going on inside you is actually what is going on in the cosmos outside. And if you understand what is going on inside you, you understand the laws of the universe outside. This is what Baba told us. Understand that one thing by which everything else is understood. Know that one by which everything else is known. What is that one? You. Who am I? Understand this I principle. You understand the secrets of the universe. You won't search for it anywhere. This lack of understanding, and I'm living on an assumed identity without even questioning once, who am I? And I live on an assumed identity till the day I die, and then I come back again. I assume another identity, and I live another assumed identity without ever questioning. And so the fact that we are here trying to at least open our mind to, okay, so maybe there's something more than who I think I am, that is where the beginning comes in. That's where the churning comes in. And that is what is explained in all our stories in the Sanatana Dharma. They talk of the churning of the ocean. They said gods and demons got together and churned the ocean. They all got on the same playing field. In other words, even if I want to step into spirituality, I need to take the good and the bad, put them all on the same plate. I said these are all assumed ideas. My sense, my idea of good. Because what I think is good may not be good for you. What I think is bad may not be. This is all relative. Let them all be on the same playing field. Once you put them on the same playing field, then you are open now. So the churning starts. The idea of good and bad and all of that, put it on the table. Say the jury is still out there. I've not made up my mind. Then the churning starts and your awakening begins. If you already made up your mind, demons are bad, devas are good, I'll just go with the good, then you close your mind. You already made up your mind. You're going back to your Prithvi, just stay locked in that 4 corridors you have created or 4 walls you have created, and then you say, this is life, I'm happy. All right, it's your choice. But you say, what more is there out there? I want to see, I want to open my mind. Then you break these walls. And for this breaking of these walls in Prithvi, we practice asana. That's why in yoga, you start with the body. Get flexibility, get your body to move. When body moves more and more easy, the Prithvi element is shaken. Then the water flows more freely. The Agni element takes the water and moves it up. You begin to experience spiritual ascension. It's not a matter of belief. It's not a matter of faith at all in yoga. It's practice, 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 practice. And then you will understand and in experience, and when you experience these things, it's fascinating how you can open these doors within you through regular practice. And this doesn't mean you need to spend 3 hours, 4 hours a day. You could be working, you could be a CEO of a company, you could be an extremely busy lawyer, successful lawyer, but yet you could find that 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day to just ponder over these. Go through these, understand them fully, and question them when you pick up a dish to eat. Question them when you make a color choice. And ask, is my whole lifestyle gearing towards one of these elements? How can I readjust it? That's all you need to do. And then you will find that that readjustment through all your senses and all of this connection will bring in back health. Health is in our control. And we are able to live our lives fully. So this session was to give you a brief kind of a run through of how yoga would approach the anatomy, the understanding of what is going on inside of us. We have just touched the surface of it. But then there's so much that goes on. You have the dhatus, you have the chakras that's going in, you have the koshas, and then you will have the link of all of these. Understanding the 6 chakras itself is a very complicated, very interesting though process. But we'll take it up some other time. We'll open up for a few more questions. It's already 11:30. See, I'm talking of those days, you might say, but that is past. But I want to beg your attention here one thing. Thousands of years ago, and nobody even knows these days, this is 10,000, 15,000 years ago, these people had written scriptures about planets. How does one, even you and I with all this knowledge, go up there? We need an app to find out where Saturn is tonight, where Jupiter is. They all look the same, they're all blinking, they're all nice. I can sing a nice Bollywood song listening at them, but up beyond that, I don't know anything else. How did they know not only where Saturn is, the fact that Saturn even existed, the fact that it was the lighter of all the planets, the diameter of Saturn, the fact that Jupiter was bigger than Saturn, the fact that Jupiter is close to the Earth, the fact that Jupiter protects the Earth from all the asteroids that would otherwise destroy the Earth, and they say gave the protection element to Jupiter as a guru, and Mars being Earth-like qualities. They call Mars the son of the Earth, Bhumi Putra, Bhauma, because it has Earth-like qualities. They said at some point it separated itself. So all this is documented thousands of years ago, and how did they find that out? Did they have telescopes? And no, they knew something which fascinates me. What is it that they knew? And their answer is, go inside. Once you know what's going on here, you'll understand the whole universe and all the details. So it's not simply sitting and making observations and making some notes. It's not that easy. You can observe sun rising and setting and make calculations. You can rise moon phases and all of that, eclipses, all of that you can do. But diameters and the distance between sun and the earth, moon and the earth, and all of that, it's impossible. So you need an access to another, there was another avenue open to them. That avenue is closed today to us. That is why we need to go back and examine what is it that I'm missing in life. There is something that I am missing. And that helps. So we are way off time. So let's take a 10-minute break, and 11:45 we'll meet back for one more class, and we'll talk about that interesting Japa Yoga, and we'll do some chanting together to understand the impact of sound. Thank you.